All right, let's get all set up to work with Git. I'm here in the Taggart Institute virtual machine, so if you're using the same VM, you can pretty much just follow along exactly the same way. In my terminal here, I have Git ready to go. If I do git dash dash version, you'll see that I've got 2.34.1. That'll be just fine for our purposes. We'll leave the terminal here for the moment, and the next thing that we're going to need is a GitHub account. They are free, and we are going to use GitHub for parts of this course. I know that there are some folks that have issues with GitHub. I respect that. I understand it. If you are one of those people, then there are some alternatives, but this course is designed to work with GitHub a little bit. One of the things that we're going to have to do to work with GitHub is add an SSH key to our GitHub account. Now, if you already have an SSH key, you probably know what that is, then you're in good stead and you can skip this next part. But if you don't have one or you're working with the TTI virtual machine, you're going to have to generate a new SSH key. Easiest way to do that in the terminal here is to run ssh-keygen. Also, throughout the course, you might notice in the top right-hand corner some very large text show up. That is going to be my keystrokes larger for your visibility. By default, the SSH key is going to be saved in the right location, the ID_RSA file. You can add a passphrase if you like. For this one, I'm not going to. Just press enter twice, and the key is generated. Once that is done, you are going to cat ~/.ssh ID_RSA.pub. You want the public key, not the private key. Do not disclose the private key to anyone. It's okay for you to see my public key because you don't have the private key. That's kind of the whole point. Everyone needs the public key in order for this to work. You're going to copy the public key, and over in GitHub settings/keys for your account, you're going to add a new SSH key. I'm going to call this the TTI VM. You can call yours what you like, and paste that public key in. Add your SSH key. GitHub is now configured to work with SSH, which will really come in handy down the line. The next thing you want to do is fork this repository. So you want to navigate to github.com/the-taggart-institute/creating with Git. There are a lot of ways to get there, including from the course itself. While logged in with your account, you are then going to click on the fork button to fork this repository. That means you're going to make your own copy of it. Once you click fork, you can see that you're going to have a repository name that by default matches what you're forking. You can change it if you want. I wouldn't, but you can. And make sure that copy the main branch only is checked. Go ahead and create the fork. And then you will have a personal copy of this repo that you can use to modify as you see fit. And that's kind of important for what we're going to do in this course. Notice now I'm no longer looking at the Taggart Institute's version of creating with Git. I'm looking at mine. It says that it's forked from, but mine is a distinct copy. Now I need to get this repository down onto my system. In order to do that, I'm going to click on the green code button and choose the clone option for SSH. I'm going to copy this here. And then in my terminal, this is our first git command, we're going to run git clone, and then the URL. It doesn't look like a URL, but in this case it is for SSH for our repo. You'll get an authenticity check for the SSH key, type YES, press enter, and we're down. This worked because we added that SSH key to our account. Now, before we can set up the repo to work the way it's really supposed to, we have to install Node.js. Now, if you already have Node installed, then you're in good shape. You can check by running node -- version. You can see that for me, it's already red, so I know for sure that I don't have it installed. Now, Ubuntu will tell you that you can install it with apt install Node.js, and you can, but I don't recommend doing it that way because the Ubuntu version is crazy old. Instead, what you want to do is go to nodejs.org and click the download for Linux. You can use either the LTS or the current. Doesn't really matter for our purposes. We can use the LTS if you like. Download this tar file. We're going to do this on the command line just so we're comfortable with it. In the terminal, we're going to cd to our downloads folder. We're going to run tar xf and the node tarball. Once we're done, you can see that we have a new node folder in here. Let's cd into that and take a look at what we have. This is kind of weird. See how we have a bin, include, lib, and share folder? The intention here is to copy all of this stuff into user/local on Linux. So the easiest way that I find to do this, honestly, is to remove the changelog, the license, and the readme. And then we're going to run sudo cp-r f for force, and then all of the contents of our local folder, so /star, into /user/local/. What this will do is it will take the bin folder in our current folder and kind of apply any changes on top of the bin folder inside of user local. Same thing with include, lib, and share. So we're not removing any of the stuff that's already there. We're just adding onto it. Now that that's done, let's type cd to get back to our home directory. And now we can run node -- version. And sure enough, we have node. Let's go ahead and go into our creating with Git repo. Now that we have node set up, we can run our install scripts for the node dependencies that this repository requires. You can do this with npm I for install. Might take a second, but looks like we're good here. You can run those update scripts if you like, but also not necessary. To prove that we have everything up and running, we can then use the npx command to run scripts that are configured inside of this project. We have some honkit scripts, so we're going to do honkit serve. Everything looks good, and it says it's serving on localhost 4000. We can click on this link, and sure enough, the repo is working locally. This is great news. We don't have to keep this running if we don't want to. You can refer to the materials at cwg.taggartinstitute.org as well, but we wanted to make sure that this thing actually was working as intended. The purpose of this repository, now that it's yours, is not just to serve as your text for the course, but also as a starting point for documentation projects of your choosing, which, spoiler alert, will become your exhibition of mastery. So this code is yours. It's intended to be changed, modified, amended, appended, however you like. And it's okay to do that, especially once you learn how to commit those changes using Git. Now we're going to leave the creating with Git repo alone unless you want to keep the local version of it running for a while. For now, let's go back to our top level folder and make a new directory called git demo. And cd into git demo. And that's where we're going to leave it right now for our setup. And we'll continue in the next lesson with basics about Git projects. I'll see you there.